rainy night in Edmonton. The Eskimos are home to the Ottawa Roughriders at Commonwealth Stadium. Downpour in Alberta for the last day and a half. It wipes out third-round play today at the LPGA du Maurier Classic here in Edmonton. The Big Valley Jamboree in Camrose has been rained out too, but they'll play football tonight on wet, natural grass here in Edmonton as the Ottawa Roughriders try to snap a 15-game road losing streak in a place where they have not won since 1983. John Payne is the head coach of the Ottawa Roughriders, and he faces tonight a man who used to play for him in Saskatchewan. Ron Lancaster was Payne's quarterback from 1974 to 1976. And Lancaster is 7 games over 500 as a CFL head coach. I'm Gord Miller along with Glenn Suter. A big crowd was expected for this game on this long weekend, but a torrential downpour about an hour ago has soaked the field, the spectators and the players. And you heard the guys in the pregame show talk about it. Footwear will be at a premium, especially for players who aren't used to playing or practicing on natural grass like the Ottawa Roughriders. This is their first look at the real stuff all year. Wayne Lamley kicks it off for the Ottawa Roughriders. Back deep to receive, Jerry Collins and Eric Blount. And Blount has the ball bounced by him and into the end zone. And Blount thought about bringing it out, but Jerry Collins, the former Ottawa Roughrider, counsels him not to do so. An 80-yard kickoff by Wayne Lamley to start the game. And so the Ottawa Roughriders take a quick 1-0 lead. Starting lineups are brought to you tonight by Corral. 31-year-old Danny McManus leads the Edmonton offense. He was 17 for 36 in Edmonton's win over the Ottawa Roughriders 8 days ago. Mazzoli, Flutie, Eddie Brown, and Shalon Baker combined had only 15 touchdown catches last year. Jerry Collins and Eric Blount are the running backs. The offensive line, especially the left side, have been redone. Thomas Rayam and Ed Cousy in there in place of Chris Green and the retired Blake Dermott. First down from the 35. The give goes to Eric Blount. Lloyd Lewis got a quick hand on him, and he was stopped after a gain of 3.
Defensively for the Ottawa Roughriders, Jeff Cummins is off to a good start. He has a couple of sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, ties the CFL lead up front. He's joined by Dave Harper, who replaces Swift Birch at the other defensive end. The linebackers, Ray Bernard anchors the middle. Nelson Aldridge replaces Eric Jeter at the other side linebacker. And the 2 corners are off to a good start. Leonard Humphreys and Tommy Henry both have a pair of picks each.
After the 3-yard gain, they swing it out of the backfield. Eric Blount has got the first down and then some, finally pushed out of bounds at the Ottawa 48-yard line. It's a pickup of 24 yards for Eric Blount. And it's an Edmonton first down.
Eric Blount's nursing a bit of a bad ankle. He hasn't really practiced a lot with the team throughout the last couple of weeks, and this is basically a running play for this offense. Just dump it out there to Blount and let him do the rest on his own. Pretty safe pass. Good way to get some momentum started early for your team.
Now a first down at the Ottawa 48-yard line. Lots of time for McManus, who guns it to the right side. It's complete there to Nick Mazzoli, who has another Edmonton first down as the ball goes down to the 34-yard line, a pickup of 14 yards. Nick Mazzoli, another former Ottawa Roughrider playing for Edmonton. There are 5.
A simple down in pattern by Mazzoli. It's going to be a timing route. McManus takes his drop, finds him across the middle. Ottawa in the man-to-man defense, and Tommy Henry just can't get there in time.
Mazzoli had 3 touchdown catches for Edmonton in the game against Ottawa here last year, won by Edmonton 63-3. On first down, back to the ground to Eric Blount. Once again, Lloyd Lewis gets an early hand on him. Melvin Aldridge with some help on the stop as well. And a pickup of a couple for Eric Blount, who scored 2 touchdowns last year in that romp over Ottawa and rushed for a season-high 139 yards.
Yeah, boy, was he ever a great running back for the Edmonton Eskimos last year. Had over 240 yards all-purpose per game last season for Edmonton.
Eric Blount, playing in his 15th game as an Edmonton Eskimo, has 1,040 yards rushing. So basically his first season is just about to end. McManus's pass over the middle falls incomplete. There are flags everywhere on the play. Dwayne Knight, second-year man for Ottawa, back on the coverage. Bud Steen is tonight's referee, standing out in the rain, and the call is against the Edmonton Eskimos, who were penalized 14 times in each of the last 2 games.
Illegal procedure. Edmonton number 80. That penalty is declined. It's third down.
And 4 of those penalties against Ottawa were offside penalties or illegal procedure. Ron Lancaster spoke to his team about that this week. On this occasion, the incomplete pass and the penalty snuff out the Edmonton drive, and so Sean Fleming, just after completing his tryout with the Washington Redskins, will try his first field goal of 1996, a 38-yard try with Glenn Harper to hold. And Fleming is 1 for 1 on the season. The Edmonton Eskimos have a 3-1 lead over the Ottawa Rough Riders, just underway in Edmonton. After enduring a week of good-natured ribbing from his teammates, Sean Fleming back in green and gold and wearing number 11 instead of number 3. We talked about that in the pregame show with Sean. He offered Darian Hagan a couple of $100 to get his number 3 back, but he wears number 11. And the good thing, kickers aren't superstitious.
Well, I've met a few that are.
No kidding. After the Fleming field goal, 1st and 10 Ottawa from its own 35. And David Archer's first touch. And he throws it over there to the wide side to Eddie Britton, but the pass ball is incomplete. That might have been tipped at the line of scrimmage. 34-year-old David Archer was the CFL's top-rated passer last year, but he's already thrown as many interceptions, 8, this year as he did in all of last year. He's joined by Robert Gordon, Joseph Rogers, Billy Hess, and Eddie Britton, a relatively inexperienced crew at receiver. Profile Greer and Lee Knight in the backfield as well, and an offensive line that has been rejigged more than once this year, led by Richard Sines up front. From the shotgun on 2nd down, time for Archer, throws it over the middle and incomplete. He was looking there for Profile Greer on the screen pass, and he likely wouldn't have got there anyway, as Willie Pless was there on the coverage. A very quick 2-and-out for the Ottawa offense.
People have been rumoring that Willie Pless hasn't been playing up to Willie Pless type ability coming into this season or into this game, but last game in Ottawa he had a great one, and it looks like he's ready to play again tonight.
Wayne Lamley is back to punt. Shalon Baker is back deep to receive, along with Darian Hagan. Good kick by Lamley. This is Hagan from his own 38-yard line. And Hagan dives ahead up to the 47.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you in part by Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi has no diet aftertaste. And by the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies, proud sponsors of the Canadian Olympic team.
Second possession for the Edmonton Eskimos, who lead this game 3-1. Eric Blount on 1st down. Takes the fake from McManus, and McManus off and running for 11 yards into Ottawa territory at the 52-yard line. Danny McManus's rushing totals for the last 2 years, minus 11 yards. But this time he takes off, and he's even now for the last 2 years.
Pretty much breaks even. He does it because of the play fake. I mean, it was a credible fake to pull Dave Harper in there. 58, you see him go right there with Eric Blount. That leaves Danny McManus wide open to the outside. I mean, we've seen Damon Allen pull this one off a few times. Danny McManus does it right there.
Wow. First down again. This time Blount does get the carry. Not much doing there. A gain of a couple as he gets out to the 50-yard line. Dwayne Knight makes a stop along with Jeff Cummins. Well, Danny McManus last year had a career high in the Canadian Football League, 4,655 yards, but 26 interceptions tossed by the quarterback then playing for the BC Lions.
Let's go, baby.
Talked about him all last year. Being that kind of guy that goes in the huddle, doesn't care if he throws the interception as long as his team wins.
And he's got a Grey Cup ring to attest to the fact that he has one. Now McManus over the middle and complete to Eddie Brown. Brown, Edmonton's leading receiver coming into this game, close to a first down as he gets up to the Ottawa 42-yard line.
Eddie Brown's their deep threat. He's got the great speed. I was talking to their coach, Jim Sandusky, who got a little playing time last week, but Sandusky told me if we could just get Eddie Brown to use his great speed on every play, he'd be unstoppable.
Eddie Brown and Bruce Dixon are the only Edmonton Eskimos remaining from the 8-for-8 trade between Edmonton and Toronto back in 1993. Lots of time for McManus. Back over the middle. But his intended receiver covered like a blanket by Ray Bernard. He was looking there for Jerry Collins, but Collins was wearing Ray Bernard.
Wow, Ray Bernard does the old, if they don't see me, it's not a penalty. Watch this one. A little collar around the old shoulder pads. Pulls Collins, takes him off his stride a little bit, just enough so he can't get to the football.
Ray Bernard, the CFL's leading tackler back in '93, and he might get credit for a tackle there. Brings up 2nd and 10. Five receivers in for Edmonton. McManus nowhere to go, and he is dropped. Only the 7th sack allowed by the Edmonton Eskimos this year. They're number 1 in that category, but it not only snuffs out the drive, it may take them out of field goal range.
Well, last week Ottawa showed blitz and had safety Jason Jakovics up in the blitz. This time they dropped him out. Dwayne Knight comes on the stunt, gets a piece of him. Dave Harper and big Ray Bernard clean him up.
Dwayne Knight with his first sack of the year, equaling his output for all of last season. And Glenn Harper will come on to punt. Robert Gordon is back deep to receive, along with Kenny Wilhite. Good kick by Harper. And where will they mark it out? Just inside the sideline marker. It goes out of bounds at the 1-inch line. A 44-yard punt by Harper, and Ottawa will start from there. Glenn Harper entered this game as the CFL's lowest rated punter, but this 44-yard effort has Ottawa hem back to its own 1.
He gets off the great punt here, angles it right to the corner, and he's pumped up for 2 reasons. One is, look at this one, go out on the 1-inch line. It'll go back out to the 1-yard line, of course, and then he's pretty pumped up, though. Him and his wife, Christy, just had their 4th baby boy. They call him Daniel Reed. For the 2 E's in there, he says, for the Edmonton Eskimos. Had to have a name with 2 E's in the name.
I like that. Now just trying to find some breathing room. This is Profile Greer, who gets out to about the 2-yard line. Flags fly on the play. Ottawa is the lowest rated rushing team in the Canadian Football League, just 48.6 yards rushing per game.
Offside. Edmonton number 45. Be first down repeated.
Well, that's twice Edmonton's been called offside already this football game, so Ron Lancaster may have to repeat the pep talk.
Lancaster says there's 3 categories of penalties. There's concentration, that's kind of the offside type penalties. There's judgment calls, which are clipping, and then there's the after the whistle discipline calls, and he says they've been burned on the concentration calls big time in the last 2 games.
So 1st and 5 for Ottawa from the 6. This is Greer once again, finds some running room into that defensive backfield. Gets up to the 16-yard line, a pickup of 11 yards for Profile Greer, first-year man out of Utah State.
Defensively for the Edmonton Eskimos, the youngster Mike Sellers replaces the injured Leroy Blue. Derek McCready is inside replacing Glenn Scribner. Larry Ruck anchors the middle, and Willie Pless, CFL's all-time leading tacklers, right beside him. In the secondary, Malcolm Frank and Kavis Reeder off to a good start, and the former University of Colorado quarterback Darian Hagan, one of the halfbacks.
On 1st down, back to the ground they go. And this is Profile Greer out to about the 20-yard line. Profile Greer played for the London Monarchs for John Payne. He's one of 3 London players that John Payne brought into Ottawa.
He's going to have a long night because he has to go against a couple of the best linebackers in the league at stopping the run, and that's Larry Ruck. You see how he plays it in that play.
Well, John Payne, a veteran head coach in the Canadian Football League, and you see this left hand, the script that he holds. They script most of their plays at Ottawa and stick very close to it. 2nd down, 6 yards to go. David Archer's under pressure, got room to run, and he got hammered by Larry Ruck. Larry Ruck lowered the boom on the Ottawa quarterback, who dives close to the 1st down, but will likely be short. Look at the big grin on Larry Ruck's face.
Hey, the linebackers love to get a lick on a quarterback, but I'm surprised that the way David Archer took on the hit from Larry Ruck. I mean, he does a pretty nice job. He has to go away from the front side because of that Edmonton coverage, but watch him lower his head and shoulders. Hey, he did a little bit of the, he was a little bit of the hammer, not the nail on that hit.
Sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're the bug.
Well, that was a bit of a draw there, and I think Larry Ruck knows it. You can see by the big grin.
Well, Archer comes up about a yard short, but Ottawa shows punt as Wayne Lamley is back. Eddie Brown, the lone man, back to receive for Edmonton. Lamley hangs it up high in the middle of the field to Eddie Brown, and Brown up and running across midfield, steps out of bounds at the Ottawa 51-yard line. The Eskimos lead 3-1 on the wet field of Commonwealth Stadium.
Captioning of this CFL telecast is brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting classic Italian BMT.
Ron Lancaster was the coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders the last time the Ottawa Roughriders won in this stadium. And his Eskimos lead 3-1. Danny McManus throws it to Eric Blunt, but the one hopper falls short. Joe Miro back there on the coverage. Going to bring up 2nd and 10.
I think Ron Lancaster wants to forget the year.
Well, those 2 years. It's amazing to think about it. Ron Lancaster was 4-28 as the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but he is now 67-60 as a head coach in the CFL. When you're 24 games under 500, that's a long way back. Now 2nd and 10 from the 50. McManus has all day and is intercepted by Tommy Henry. He was looking for Nick Mazzoli, but Tommy Henry comes up with his 3rd interception of the year. It is the 9th time Danny McManus has been picked off this season.
This is either one of the worst throws that Danny McManus has had in this football season, or there was some sort of miscommunication between Mazzoli, who was going down the sideline, and McManus, who threw it way behind his intended receiver. Now, sometimes the play is not to go deep, but it's called the throw behind. And the quarterback will throw it to the back of the receiver, hoping that he'll stop just as the ball's in the air. But Mazzoli just kept on going. Tommy Henry did stop, comes up with his 3rd pick of the season.
And Tommy Henry, who's only 1 off his interception total for last season, is the man down on the turf. And ironically enough, Danny McManus of Florida State is picked off by Tommy Henry of Florida State.
He's in Toronto last year, had 4 interceptions and 7 knockdowns for the Argos. And good cover guy, smart defensive back. Ottawa hopes to have him back. Looks like he'll be all right.
And you see Danny McManus talking it over with Cody Ledbetter, the backup quarterback for the Eskimos, who has yet to throw a pass in the Canadian Football League. After the turnover, the Riders have the ball at their own 37-yard line. Profale Greer with the 2 big men in front of him, but they forgot to block Willie Plex. And the man who has won the last 2 Outstanding Defensive Player awards makes another outstanding defensive play.
Yeah, when you're offensive scheming for the game, and you're playing against number 39 in the Edmonton Eskimos jersey, you want to make sure you have a guy blocking him. I mean, this is the all-time leader in the CFL in tackles. You got to get a hat on him.
8-time CFL star, 6 consecutive All-Canadian selections for the Terminator, Willie Plass. Loss of a couple now, 2nd and 12. Archer has a man and has the ball to Robert Gordon. Good for a 1st down up to the 51-yard line. And Robert Gordon, who had 1,000 yards receiving with BC in 1994, has 16 here.
Now, Robert Gordon does a nice job of reading the defense. What the Edmonton Eskimos are doing are playing the zone. Glenn Rogers Jr. is inside, has to get to the outside. He's held up too far onto the numbers in there. You can see him just late coming over. Robert Gordon reads it, settles down on the sideline, and gives his quarterback a target.
Gordon, the former Ottawa and Toronto star. And now on first down, the carry goes to Profile Greer, who dives ahead for 4 yards close to midfield.
You know, Robert Gordon, when he comes into the regular season or even training camp for that matter, is in great shape. He's a personal trainer in the offseason. So what he does for a living when he's not playing football is get people in shape. And in order to do that, you have to work out with them. So, you know, he comes ready to go.
You don't have his number, do you?
Yeah, I could use him too after just being out of the league for a couple of years.
2nd and 7. They fake the drop play. Archer's under pressure, and he is down. Sacked by Derek McCready. His first sack of the year. Mike Sellers got in there as well.
I had 5 sacks with Ottawa last year, and he replaces Glenn Scrivener. And, of course, Edmonton really disappointed when they lost Scrivener, but super excited that they had a guy like McCready that could come in and replace him. Just a straight bull rush gets to David Archer.
So McCready, the former BC Lion and Ottawa Rough Rider, has a sack to put on the board. And now Wayne Lamley will be forced to punt again, so Ottawa unable to take advantage of the Edmonton turnover. Good kick by Lamley. This is Shalon Baker from the 10. And Baker gets buried at the 16-yard line. Richard Sines, the snapper for Ottawa, got down there quickly and made the stop. A 57-yard punt and a return of 8. Well, last year, the Ottawa Rough Riders won only 3 games, but one of them was against the Edmonton Eskimos at Frank Clair Stadium, but the Eskimos exacted their revenge 2 weeks later with a 63-3 pasting of Ottawa, Edmonton's most lopsided win since it played in the Western Rugby Football Union.
The worst loss that the Ottawa Rough Riders had ever experienced. Yikes, 63 points. That's a biggie.
Yeah, that was a big number to put on somebody. Nick Mazzoli was the big man in that game with 3 touchdowns. Here's Eric Blunt with the carry. Tried to get around the corner, but Ray Bernard got right in Blunt's face. And give some credit, too, on the play to Dwayne Knight for driving Eric Blunt up the field and giving Ray Bernard time to get there.
Well, Ray Bernard finally healthy again, and look at him flow to the football. I mean, he just runs by little Jerry Collins there that doesn't even look to try and block him and just sniffs out that running play. Eric Blunt, no shot for yardage there.
Loss of a couple, 2nd and 12. And McManus to the shotgun. Lots of time. McManus has Eddie Brown. Brown up to the 34-yard line. A first down for the Edmonton Eskimos as Eddie Brown hauls in another big catch and a gain of 20 yards.
Well, there was no question where Danny McManus was going to throw the football on this play. The whole way he's looking to Eddie Brown, just waiting for him to clear Jason Jacobitz, who had come up from the safety position and was playing the underneath zone. As soon as Brown clears that zone, he hits him with the football.
Eddie Brown had 159 yards receiving against Ottawa last season, so the Riders secondary knows him well. Fumble! Eric Blunt drops the football, gets it right back, and gets up to the 38-yard line. Kind of a Statue of Liberty play there by Edmonton that almost went very wrong.
Well, the way Eric Blunt pulled it off, it looked like he was planning it.
And now some pushing and shoving breaks out.
Blunt after the fumble.
Melvin Aldridge, number 29. And Jeff Cummins in there as well, but almost disaster for Edmonton.
Yeah, just look at the way this play develops. I mean, it's the old Statue of Liberty. Blunt comes around, drops the ball. Look how calmly he picks it up. Good composure, picks it up and takes off. And it actually caught Aldridge kind of off guard. He couldn't get in on the tackle.
Gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Guns it in there and complete to Darren Flutie. And Flutie, with his first catch of the football game, is out across the 50-yard line. Another Edmonton first down.
Boy, the timing right now for the Edmonton receivers and their quarterback are perfect. This is Flutie. He just works to the curl right inside. Now, Danny McManus releases this football before Flutie makes his break. Now, the ball's in the air right now. Flutie turns around, bang, right there.
At the 51-yard line, McManus on the fake over the middle, intercepted again. Picked off this time by Kenny Wilhite. And Wilhite dives ahead to midfield. Danny McManus has been picked off again, the 10th time he's been intercepted this year.
Well, I talked earlier about the timing maybe when it was off with Mazzoli on that other pattern, the communication, excuse me. That time it was just a bad throw by Danny McManus. No question, that Eddie Brown and Darren Flutie were heading down the seams. You see Flutie trying to go down the seam to the field, but Wilhite comes from a long way from the opposite side. Danny McManus did not see him. Jeff Cummins is working right there to get a little pressure on the quarterback. McManus just threw it behind his intended receiver.
Now David Archer wants to go deep, has a man, almost intercepted by Glenn Rogers. He was looking down there for Joseph Rogers, but it was almost the Edmonton defensive back who picked it off. That's the final play of the opening quarter. The Edmonton Eskimos with a 3-1 lead, but they've got turnover problems at Commonwealth.
CFL live at the quarter. Brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great-tasting classic Italian BMT.
So Danny McManus, 5 touchdowns on the year, 10 interceptions, albeit one of the picks really was not his fault.
Well, he threw it, didn't he?
Miscommunication.
Yeah, right.
There you go again, Coach. That's not
No,
fair.
going into the game, both he and David Archer led the league with 8 picks apiece. So, you know, now he's thrown 2. So Danny's in a class of his own right now. But I think Ottawa's got to be able to take advantage of some of these turnovers now and get into the ball game because there are opportunities there.
I'm just amazed at how many interceptions are going up right now, and it looks like there's going to be a lot more thrown because
You're itching, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, like the weather. The problem with Danny Mac, though, is on those interceptions that I see is that he's not putting enough air on the ball. Darren Flutie looked like he had him beat there, and he just underthrew him really bad.
You know, what I thought was kind of interesting was when Archer knocked over Larry Ruck. Larry Ruck's supposed to be the big, strong defensive guy. Archer's a quarterback. Did you see him laughing? He was quite embarrassed.
He knew that, too.
You know what, though, Bob? You have made this point
Yeah.
before. You said that David Archer is one of the sturdiest quarterbacks in the Canadian
Right.
Football League.
That didn't surprise me at all because he's probably built as well as Larry Ruck, and he just took him on.
Indeed, he did. And so far, so good for the Ottawa Roughriders. They're only down by a count of 3-1. Not a bad first quarter of play, considering the circumstances. Let's go back to Commonwealth Stadium for the second quarter.
Thanks very much, Darren. Curtis Joseph and the Edmonton Oilers with a 3. Oh, I'm sorry. It's only 3-1 here. What's going on, Glenn?
I was wondering, I was looking at you like, Curtis, what? Well, I mean, right now, you see David Archer and both Danny McManus having a problem just getting it out in front of their receivers. Both times for Danny McManus, it was Flutie, and for David Archer, of course, it was Joseph Rogers. Were open. They just threw it behind the receiver.
David Archer isn't the only Ottawa star in town tonight. Alanis Morissette is playing the Oilers' digs tonight at the Edmonton Coliseum. So the LPGA is here for a major. The Big Valley Jamboree is on. The Eskimos are playing Ottawa, and Alanis Morissette's here tonight. 2nd and 10 for the Riders. Archer looking for some time, and he won't get it. Benny Goods throws him down. Benny Goods with his 3rd sack of the year, and David Archer never had a chance.
And you're going to get a great shot at how he gets there. I mean, here's Benny Goods, one of the premier pass rushers in the league. Does a little stunt right there, working on Uzomo Okeke. And, hey, Archer can take on Larry Ruck maybe, but Benny Goods, a little bit of a different story. He kind of treated him like a little bit of a rag doll there.
Yeah, Benny Goods is 275 pounds. He might have been when he checked into the league, but that was 7 years ago. They might want to weigh him again. Wayne Lamley is back to punt again. Hagan is back deep with Shalon Baker. And this is Baker from the 35-yard line, and nothing doing. He is stopped immediately on the play as the tackle is made by J.D. Jakovic. 32-yard punt by Lamley. Well, the numbers through the first quarter show just 25 net yards for the Ottawa Roughriders. Look at Edmonton with 2 turnovers already in the football game, but Ottawa has been unable to take advantage, scoring a single on the opening kickoff and nothing since.
And I know Glenn Rogers Jr. would like to see a 1 in the turnover column for Ottawa. He had one go right through his hands in that first quarter.
Danny McManus has had 2 of his last 3 passes picked off.
First and 10, ball just inside the 34-yard line.
On first down, back to Blunt they go. Blunt tries the outside. Dwayne Knight, though, gets a hand on him. And nothing doing for Eric Blunt.
Jeff Cummins.
Well, this is a real fired-up Ottawa defense. I mean, Ray Bernard is sideline to sideline. Dwayne Knight's been in on a couple of plays. This is a look at him right here, coming in, making sure Eric Blunt has to turn that back to the inside where all his pursuit and help can get him. But this is a fired-up Ottawa team right now.
They give Blunt 1 on the carry. Now 2nd and 9. McManus fires it over the middle and complete there as he finds Nick Mazzoli for a first down, as the coverage is provided by Kenny Wilhite, but Mazzoli has a first down after a pickup of 19 yards.
Well, I tell you, talking to some of the guys in Ottawa's defense, Ray Bernard being one of them, they said a lot of their problems have been that they just had mental bust. I mean, Mazzoli takes advantage of clearly a mistake by the Ottawa defense, a mental mistake. They got the talent physically, but they're making mental errors.
On first down, McManus pump fakes and throws incomplete for Darren Flutie. Wilhite there again, and they've thrown a lot to Wilhite's area, but this time it's incomplete to Darren Flutie, who missed the last start for Edmonton with bad ribs.
Well, Danny McManus is throwing the ball in timing patterns, and if you're not on the same page as your receiver, that time Darren Flutie turned in, McManus threw it to the outside. Now, you can run a curl both ways. It can be a curl in or a curl out. That time, Flutie ran the in, McManus threw the out.
Second down, McManus over the middle, Eddie Brown with catch, and Brown is down to the 35-yard line. Another first down for the Edmonton Eskimos after a pickup of 20 yards.
Eddie Brown's going to run from the inside receiver position, come down here. Now what happens is the Ottawa Rough Riders are playing a zone. Jason Jakovics is the deep guy in the zone, and he's back off Eddie Brown too far, giving a little too much respect. You see 20 coming in to make the tackle, but he was 7-8 yards way deep, and Eddie Brown just allowed to turn around and catch that ball.
Eddie Brown's doing it again to one of his former teams. He was an Ottawa Rough Rider early in his career. They fake the reverse, give it off to Blunt. Flags are down, and so is the Edmonton running back to the 32-yard line. And kind of that Statue of Liberty look again. And the call will go against the Edmonton Eskimos once again. And flags are again punishing Ron Lancaster's team.
Same type of penalties that he talked about, those concentration penalties.
Holding. Edmonton number 59. First down repeated.
Not being offside, knowing the snap count, and then also making good decisions. And 59, Leo Groenwagen is the culprit on this play. You're going to see him right there working on Big Lloyd Lewis. He just wraps the arm around him right beside the goalpost. Lewis can't get free.
Playing his 168th consecutive game as Leo Groenwagen, the first pick overall by Ottawa in the draft in 1987. Draw play to Blunt. Lost the football, but managed to get it back. Ray Bernard was water skiing behind him, and Eric Blunt lost the football.
And that's the second time that Eric Blunt has routinely picked up his own fumble. He did it once earlier on the Statue of Liberty, and this time the ball hits the ground, and oh yeah, I got it. He must be living right.
Well, for a team that doesn't practice or play on natural grass, they certainly seem to know the bounces, don't they? That's Ottawa, rather, as the Riders try to pick up those loose balls. Second and long. McManus hangs it up high for Eddie Brown, and Brown has to turn DB on the play as Joe Miro was in the best position to make the catch.
Well, McManus took a hit, and there's a flag down by McManus. Dave Harper was in there, and this may be a late hit.
But they're talking to the Ottawa captains, and holding may be the call against Edmonton.
Of course, which Ottawa would likely decline, and then
holding Edmonton number 56. That penalty's declined. It's now third down.
Well, see, the thing is, though, if you take the penalty, you move them out of field goal range and make them try it again. Now Fleming will come on for a field goal try, a long one of 47 yards. Ed Cusi, the Edmonton native, is called for holding. Played 7 games for Winnipeg last year in his first year as a starter.
Well, Sean Fleming can make it. I mean, his longest in his career is 58 yards, and last year his longest was 53.
Now from the 48, they fake it. Glenn Harper is up to throw, looking for Jerry Collins, incomplete. Glenn Harper came into this game 12 of 16 passing in his career for 3 touchdowns, but that's his 5th career incompletion, and Ottawa will have the football when we come back. Glenn Harper comes up throwing, but misfires.
Yeah, here's the play set up here. Harper's right here. He's going to take it bootleg out this way. But right here, Tommy Henry does his job and covers Jerry Collins as he hits to the flat. And hey, Glenn Harper's not a quarterback. He had to thread the needle to try and get it in there. And here's a shot of the fake. It was well done from the holder's perspective. But hey, Tommy Henry went out there and did a nice job covering. You know, you rehearse against the fake all year. You may never see it, and I know coaches are always wondering, are those guys listening? I mean, we haven't seen one all year. That time, John Payne can rest assured that Tommy Henry is listening in practice when they go over that.
Yeah, great play by Tommy Henry. And now we'll see if David Archer and the offense can do anything. Just 16 yards passing so far for the Ottawa quarterback. Draw play on first down. Profale Greer has some time to the upside. Loses the football. Picked up by his teammate Robert Gordon. I'll tell you what, they're getting the gravy bounces tonight.
Okay, now I'm going to stop calling them fumbles and start calling them bounce passes. Because, I mean, Eric Blunt's had a couple where he had the old bounce pass to himself, and then this time, Profale Greer's going to take this one on the old counter play. A couple steps to his left, then goes back the other way. Does a nice job of making the first couple of tacklers miss, and then here comes the ball loose right there. One hop, little bounce pass. Robert Gordon picks it up and does the rest.
It'll call for a measurement. By the way, there was an awful hold on Willie Pless there. He was lassoed and tied down at midfield by 2 Ottawa Rough Riders. And Ottawa, on the rather bizarre play, is able to get the first down. Well, this is not the kind of start that Ron Lancaster wanted. He wanted his team to come out, be crisp against Ottawa, and put them away early. And it's not happening. Back to the ground. Profale Greer, they try it again, and this time Willie Pless got away from that Ottawa blocking, comes up to make the stop. Gain of a couple for Profale Greer.
Profale Greer is a good slashing running back, and Willie Pless is the guy that's in charge of trying to stop him. You were talking about the fact that he got held on the previous play, and this time
they held his hand.
Ozumu Okeke couldn't get there to hold him. Pless thought, I'm going to beat the block and just get to the running back.
Brings up 2nd and long, and the Eskimos show blitz. Archer guns it. His receiver fell, and it falls incomplete. He was looking there for Joseph Rogers, but Rogers had slipped just as Archer delivered the football. That happened last time these two teams met. Archer had a receiver slip, and it cost him a crucial interception.
Yeah, Joseph Rogers off to a good start this season. Just falls there. There's him right there. He's going to take off and run the curl pattern. Watch how he just loses his footing on this wet Commonwealth natural grass right there. Does the old skid. Almost comes up with the catch anyway, but it's just too tough to handle.
Baker and Hagan are back to receive this kick from Wayne Lamley. Low tumbling end-to-end kick. And this is Baker from the 18-yard line, and Shalon Baker filling in for the injured Gizmo Williams gets out to the 32-yard line. Edmonton with a 2-point lead will have the ball when we come back. Busy week this week on the CFL Live. Starts with Hamilton and Montreal for the Big O. Edmonton and Toronto from Skydome Thursday. Ottawa, Winnipeg on Friday, and it wraps up with Calgary and BC on Saturday. And Glenn, you're doing a few of those games, aren't you?
I think I have 3 of them.
How good is that?
Hey, and there's some great matchups. I mean, that's going to be some good football. Looking forward to it.
Danny McManus sets it up for Eddie Brown. Brown looks as though he might throw it, but now he takes off, and Brown out to the 50-yard line. And they'll actually mark him out of bounds at the Edmonton 52-yard line. Eddie Brown threw the ball once last year to Jim Sandusky for a touchdown, and Sandusky's now a coach.
Nothing fancy about this one. The old hitch screen to the slot back, takes 2 steps back, and you're right, Gordy, was kind of holding that ball like he was going to throw it, but then look at the acceleration. Ray Bernard just ran past 2 defensive backs to get there. I mean, look at this. Look at the speed. Bernard's going to bust right past Jason Jakovics, Tommy Henry. I mean, the DBs are supposed to be faster.
21-yard gain on the play. Flags are down. They fake it to Jerry Collins, and now McManus guns it for Nick Mazzoli, who beats the first man and steps out of bounds at the Ottawa 38-yard line. And it looked as though Ottawa jumped early, so this play should stand. It's a pickup of 19 yards.
Well, Jeff Cummins right now was shaking his head throughout that whole play.
And that's why.
Offside, Ottawa 86. That penalty is declined. It's first down, Edmonton.
They call 86, but there is no 86.
Probably 96 with OB Spanik.
But maybe they meant 97.
And there's Obi, but he... Well, let's not blame anybody.
Do you ever hold hands in the huddle like that?
Yeah, it's a unity thing. Let's get it together. Let's stay together in this defensive huddle. He used to do it in Saskatchewan.
On first down, Blunt with the carry up the middle, and not much doing there. Lloyd Lewis, the former Edmonton Eskimo, stood him up along with Jeff Cummins. I'm sorry, it's the unity thing? You want to roll that by me again?
Yeah,
let me get this straight. You go to training camp, right? You room together.
Yeah.
You spend all year together. You practice, and you got to hold hands in the huddle.
Well, you know what? When you have a play that Nick Mazzoli had there where you had like a 15-yard play, you get in there, you grab each other, you say, hey, let's stay together. Let's stay together. And away you go.
Second and 7. McManus has time, has his receiver, Darren Flutie, right at the first down markers. He's pushed out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Darren Flutie had 3 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons from 92 to 94 and came up 107 yards short last year.
And he got the matchup that Edmonton, Danny McManus, and Flutie won. It was basically a one-on-one situation with Dwayne Knight. I mean, Ottawa was in a zone, but once Flutie ran into Dwayne Knight's zone, it became his man. And that's a matchup that Edmonton would like to have all game.
4 yard.
Third and inches for the Eskimos, and the short yardage offense comes in. Danny McManus, the noted fleet of foot quarterback, dives across. Now there's a flag down on the play.
Usually offside against Ottawa, trying to anticipate the snap count.
Offside. The Ottawa line. It's first down, Edmonton.
Got them all. Maybe it's all that hand-holding. Too much unity there.
That could be it. That could be
Let's see if they hold hands here. Well, no, they're in trouble if they hold hands. Yeah, they're in trouble. They held hands there. There you go.
Well, at least you can say, hey, if we're going to do things good, let's do them together. If we do them bad, hey, let's do them together.
Offside as a team. First down for the 23. McManus guns it for Flutie, who makes the catch down to the 10-yard line. Kenny Wilhite there on the coverage. It's another Edmonton first down.
Well, Kenny Wilhite needs a little bit of help from his safety, Jason Jakovics. He just took off the other way, and Flutie's side went right into the hole. McManus realizes it, and you can tell right now his eyes get big, and he just wants to get rid of it because Flutie was wide open in the middle.
On first down, McManus to the end zone, intercepted by Tommy Henry. His second of the game. Nick Mazzoli makes the tackle. Third interception Danny McManus has thrown tonight. And the Bluebirds are out in Edmonton. The Eskimos are stopped in the end zone. They continue to lead by just 2. In 6 of his 7 years in the Canadian Football League, Danny McManus has thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes, and he has now thrown his 11th of this year compared to 5 touchdown throws.
And I'm not giving excuses for the quarterback, but when he released that ball, he knew it because it just was a poor throw. It could have been a wet ball because it didn't have the spiral and it wobbled out of there.
Oh, big gain here now for Profile Greer, off and running out to the 49-yard line. On the first carry, a pickup of 24 yards. And Profile Greer in his first year on the Utah State having a big night for Ottawa.
Well, John Payne loves this guy. I mean, they've got a guy in Reggie Barnes sitting at home on the practice roster because they feel that Greer's the type of running back that can break a game open for him. I mean, Reggie Barnes is a great football player, but Payne thinks this Greer kid can break one open.
Greer had just 22 yards rushing coming into this game. David Archer under pressure is sacked once more. Benny Goods was there. Fumble as the ball came loose, but they'll say that David Archer was down on the play.
Well, Melvin Hunter, Benny Goods, McCready, and Mike Sellers just consumed the line of scrimmage. I mean, there was no fancy one-on-one pass moves. Just watch how the line of scrimmage is pushed backwards. Back on their heels. Jovanovic's back in the backfield. I mean, he runs into Archer, basically makes the tackle. You see Richard Sons getting pushed back. And James Monroe, I mean, that offensive line of scrimmage ended up about 10 yards in the backfield.
Ottawa came into the game having allowed the most quarterback sacks in the league, 21. Now on 2nd and long, Archer is under pressure again. Can't find anyone open, and finally delivers a one-hopper looking for Joseph Rogers, and no surprise, David Archer took a lick at the end of that play. He was under siege from the start.
That's what a great pass rush will do for you, too. I mean, you get a guy like Melvin Hunter coming like he has in the last 2 plays. David Archer was watching the pass rush before he looked downfield. I mean, right here, if you can see his head, he's looking down at where he can find an opening to run. Wasn't looking downfield and therefore had no chance to find a receiver.
That's what you get when you take the team that's given up the most sacks, Ottawa, and put them up against the team that has sacked the quarterback the most, Edmonton. Shalon Baker is back there deep to receive the punt, along with Darian Hagan. Wayne Lamley gets a tumbling end-over-end kick away. And this is Baker from the 40 out to about the 43-yard line with 4:26 to go in the second quarter.
29-yard punt.
You drink Pepsi, you collect points. You get Pepsi stuff. Pepsi stuff. People who drink it get it.
Well, it poured rain here in Edmonton for about an hour prior to the football game, and so far just a bit of a drizzle during the football game. The field, though, is wet, and the Edmonton Eskimos in particular having turnover problems. They fumbled the ball twice, got it back both times, and have thrown 3 interceptions. Now on first down from their 42, this is Eric Blunt along the ground, and Blunt out to the 51-yard line, a pickup of 6 yards. And the stop is made once again by the middle linebacker, Ray Bernard.
This is really the first decent running play that Eric Blunt has executed with this Edmonton offense in this play, or in this game. Ottawa defense right now, and they're ranked last against the run, but are doing a pretty good job so far against the premier running back in the league.
In the last 22 meetings between Edmonton and Ottawa, the Eskimos have lost just 3 since 1985. Second and short, here's Blunt, and he just got there. There's a flag down at the end of the play, and they might have got a piece of Eric Blunt's iron. It looks like face masking will be the call.
Major foul, face mask, Ottawa 58. First down, Edmonton.
Dave Harper, the former San Antonio Texan, acknowledges that he got his hand on the mask, and that will move the Edmonton Eskimos down to the Ottawa 41.
Well, you see Blunt take it. There's Ray Bernard fighting around the block. There's number 58. Mazzoli, number 80, is trying to push him in the back, and Dave Harper's the one who just got his hand on Blunt's face mask. This is the first game he's played in. I mean, he had the hamstring injury early in the league. They've been trying to get him back in the lineup, so he's going to have a little bit of rust on him.
7 sacks last year for San Antonio. From the 41-yard line, McManus over the middle, Flutie with the catch, and close to a first down as he dives to the 31-yard line. Darren Flutie looking forward to a showdown with his brother Doug this Thursday in Toronto, having a big night, tuning up for that.
And Darren Flutie's one of those smart slot backs. Nick Mazzola used to be inside, but because of the great quickness of Flutie, he's back in there.
3-1, Edmonton leads. We've hit the 3-minute warning at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton.
Coming up at the Corral halftime, we'll get a closer look at Katie Williams. We'll also hear from Marty Lassan-Bob and get Gordon Glenn's thoughts on the first half. Let's return to Commonwealth Stadium.
All right, Darren, welcome back to the city where you used to work and where I used to work, of course, too. And one thing you got to know about Edmonton is that the natural grass can get a bit slick. For more on that, down to Ken Chillibeck.
Stan's going to get a bad rap for it.
Buck, you can see that everybody's got the shoes on. They're wet, of course. I was talking to some of the players earlier. They said they're putting on 3/4-inch studs. That's the longest they have right now. But you can see pieces of turf starting to come up, but none of the players are complaining about the actual field conditions. I talked to Rod Conniff a little earlier. He said, what kind of studs you got on the bottom of the shoes? He says, whatever's on them. They haven't changed his since 1968.
Or something like that. On first down, McManus guns it over for Blood, who gets buried. Kenny Wilhite, who had an interception earlier in the game, buries Eric Blood.
The halfback's dream. Sitting out in the zone defense, you're in the flat. That's the short zone to the wide side of the field, and you see that running back looking back to the football, sneak out there, has no idea you're there. You just can't wait to put the hammer on him, and here it comes.
Actually, Blood slipped and kind of took some of the wind out of Wilhite's sails. Pickup of 4. Now McManus goes to the backside, wide open. Darren Flutie, touchdown! First touchdown catch of the year, and is the first major of the game.
They've been setting him up and setting him up. Flutie's gone inside about 3 times. This time he does the inside fake, a swim move on Kenny Wilhite, and look how wide open he is. Just a precise, perfect pattern by Darren Flutie.
Darren Flutie had only 2 touchdown receptions last year and did not have one coming into this game. But he's got the Edmonton Eskimos their first major. The point after is good, and the Eskimos have a 10-1 lead over the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Hey, Doug, Lori, Alexa, Dougie, how you doing? See you Thursday. Hi, Terry.
And you heard Darren mention it, the showdown with his brother Doug, and I'll just bet you that Doug, the couch potato of all time, is watching tonight. He's a great athlete, but no one watches more sports on TV, especially when his brother is playing, than Doug Flutie.
Oh, yeah. Big football fan, a great football player, but also a great fan of games going on around the league, and of course, like you said, when his brother's in it.
Now, there's a rumor making the rounds that the Flutie Brothers Band may make an appearance in Toronto next week. I asked Darren about it before the game, but Ron Lancaster was standing nearby. He didn't want to confirm or deny, but there are reports that the Flutie Brothers are going to play a gig in Toronto when Darren and Doug are together this week.
Well, we got to keep our ear to that rumor, make sure we get a camera by that, just so we can...
Hey, never mind that. Let's get some free tickets.
Yeah.
You're new at this. Work the free tickets.
Oh, okay. Free stuff. I'm all for that.
Sean Fleming to kick it off. Wilhite is back deep to receive, along with Profile Greer from the 15. This is Greer. Beats the first wave and gets out to the 31-yard line. The stop is made by Jay Hamilton. A 16-yard return. The 5-play, 67-yard drive sees Danny McManus throw his 6th touchdown pass of the year and sees Darren Flutie make his first touchdown catch of the year. And there's Danny McManus talking it over with Cody Ledbetter. And that'll help the interception to touchdown ratio somewhat for Danny McManus. David Archer is 1 for 6 so far, but now 2 for 7 as he completes it over there to Robert Gordon. And the quick slant nets 5 yards. 2:08 to go in the first half. Ottawa down by 9. This game following a very similar script to the game played in Ottawa, where the Riders were down 21-18 in the third quarter, but then fell apart in the fourth. Archer, long throw to the far side to Eddie Britton. Britton goes back and doesn't get the first down.
Wow, that's just a bad judgment by Eddie Britton. I mean, he tried to beat 4 or 5 guys and lost 3 yards. He was very close to that first down when he caught the ball, and Ottawa will have to punt.
You see Leo Groenwagen, the Edmonton veteran I mentioned earlier, he has not missed a game in his 10-year CFL career. He is now heading to the dressing room and heading there with Kent Wagner, one of the Edmonton therapists.
You jinxed him.
Figures. If I bought a graveyard, people would stop dying. So the play by Eddie Britton means that Wayne Lamley will have to come on to punt, and Edmonton might get decent field position. Shalon Baker and Darian Hagan are back deep to receive the punt. Low spiraling kick, bounces. And Profile Greer has to back up. Picked up by Shalon Baker, flags are down. That'll be no yards against Ottawa. 1:40 to go in the opening half. A 36-yard punt. Well, Ron Lancaster had a distinguished career as a Saskatchewan Rough Rider quarterback, but you might remember that he was number 16 for the Ottawa Rough Riders for a couple of years, a great quarterbacking controversy. And I mentioned to Ron before the game we were going to show some footage of him. He says, I'll bet you I was running for my life. And what do you know? There he goes around the corner. Yeah, it was the Jackson-Lancaster controversy in the nation's capital. And it was Jackson who won out there, and then Ron Lancaster went on to become the CFL's all-time leading passer in Saskatchewan. In fact, when he played for John Payne, Ron Lancaster was the quarterback and offensive coordinator for the Riders.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. I was talking to Coach Lancaster before the game, and he said, well, I know Coach Payne quite well because I played for him, and it took me a double take there. Oh, yeah, that's right. He played for him for a long time. That's amazing.
On first down, back to Blunt, and Blunt room to run. Across the 50, tripped up at the 45-yard line. J.D. Jakovic, the safety man, the only one standing between Blunt and the end zone.
Well, Ottawa's been running J.D. Jakovic down low, and they're gap canceling. Now, what that means is that J.D. has that gap right where Blunt just ran. You see him just try and get back and grab the shoestrings. When you cancel the gaps, you don't make your tackle. You don't get to your gap. It can break it.
Pick up a 15 yards. Now McManus looking deep, has a man open. Eddie Brown, he's got the catch and the touchdown. Catch of the year, 44 yards.
All McManus has to do is just lead this one as far as he can and let the speedster Eddie Brown run under it. Sandusky says to Eddie Brown before this game, just use your speed. That's the best thing you got going for you. Don't worry about making moves. Just flat out try and outrun people. Eddie Brown did it there.
Eddie Brown led the league in receiving touchdowns in 1993 with 15. And now the point after is good after Eddie Brown's score. 17-1. Edmonton leads Ottawa. It was 3-1 not 10 minutes ago.
See, Eddie Brown lines up at the wide receiver position, and there you see nothing fancy. He has to slow down to adjust for the football while it's in the air. But I'll tell you what, Leonard Humphreys couldn't react back to the football because of the great burst. And you can tell there's a little bit of relief after the interceptions early from Danny McManus.
Thomas Rayam, number 55, the left tackle for Edmonton, was real excited, but he's 6'7", 335. Danny McManus said, don't celebrate too much.
My turn next. My turn next. Welcome back, D.A. They can't sleep on your skills, baby. They can't sleep on them.
Saying hi to Damon Allen there. Welcome back, D.A. And, of course, it was Damon Allen and Eddie Brown who hooked up for those 15 touchdowns back in 1993. And they were together in Memphis last year. So Danny McManus, 2 touchdown passes to go with his 3 interceptions, and he's getting close to getting the ratio back to 1-1. Fleming kicks it off deep. This is Will Height from the 2.
Go get it!
And Will Height slips down the 20-yard line. Well, the Ottawa Rough Riders are just seeing the air go right out of their balloon here in the last couple of minutes. Now the 59-yard 2-play drive. Eddie Brown with the 44-yard catch. And Ottawa with 1:06 to play here in the opening half. Maybe just trying to stop the bleeding.
Oh, my God. He's on dope.
Have me quit saying that.
Got to get your Eddie Brown decoder ring out to understand what he's saying there. And Will Height is the injured player.
You're going to see what happened to Will Height. He was on the return and loses his footing, slides in, and you can see that left leg kind of got whipped into Singor Mobley as he was sliding into home base there.
The former Nebraska Cornhusker who made his CFL debut with the San Antonio Texans.
You know, if you're the Ottawa defense or the Ottawa team for that matter right now, you can go in saying into this huddle right now saying, listen, 2 big plays. One to Darren Flutie for a touchdown. See as Kenny Wilhite gets up and he's a little shaken up on the play and is favoring that leg.
Benny Goods helping him up, saying, get off the field, man. I want to sack the quarterback.
Well, that's what you do for Ottawa right now. You go in and you say, hey, look, we just had 2 big plays against us. We're playing pretty well defensively. We've had some success on offense. Let's just keep plugging away here and try and get back in this one. But this is definitely a key drive for David Archer.
Well, key in 2 ways. One, if he can just limit the damage, at least consume up the remaining time in the first half and stop that Edmonton momentum. And Archer will start from the shotgun from his 20. Draw play to Profale Greer. And Willie Pless just hunted him down and dropped him.
Well, I think most people picked it up, and I certainly did from up here. Someone down there, and I think it was Willie Pless, yelled, "Watch the draw!" just before the play happened. So I think he was in the playbook there.
And Ottawa in the hurry-up offense here. Here comes the rush, and down goes Archer. Benny Goods with his 2nd sack of the game.
Well, that was a footing problem for David Archer. I mean, he comes in there and tries to plant, but you got to throw the ball right on time. If you take that extra second, you're going to have a guy like Benny Goods right here on the pass rush. I mean, look at the great job of using his hands, getting off the block, and just running down Archer, who, because he slipped, took an extra second to try and get that ball off, and that's all Benny Goods needed.
CFL All-Star in each of the last 2 years. Benny Goods had 14 sacks last year. He's got 4 on the year now with 2 in this game. And now Wayne Lamley will punt from his goal line. Surprised Edmonton hasn't called timeout here with 30 seconds left on the clock. They almost got it. This is Shalon Baker from the 40. Not much doing. He is dropped on the play at the 35-yard line. The Edmonton Eskimos and the Canadian Football League lost a great friend and a great former player this week when Roger Nelson died of cancer. Roger Nelson played for the Edmonton Eskimos for 13 seasons, and wearing number 66 played offense and defense for the Eskimos, a part of those great Edmonton teams that won 3 consecutive Grey Cups in the mid-1950s. He was inducted into the CFL Hall of Fame in 1986. We send our condolences to the Nelson family, including his son Mark, now an assistant coach with the Toronto Argonauts. On first down, McManus completes it out there to Darren Flutie, and Flutie steps out of bounds at the 32-yard line. 17 seconds remaining now in the opening half.
You know, Ron Lancaster is thinking field goal, but he's still throwing in a couple of passing plays just in case one of his receivers like a Darren Flutie can break a tackle and maybe pick up a touchdown just before the half.
Now on 2nd and 5, and the clock stopped. Edmonton with a chance to add to the lead. Early movement, flags are down. The give goes to Eric Blunt, and Blunt dives ahead to about the 27-yard line, but offside will be the call against Ottawa.
Yeah, Jeff Cummins was offside. He jumped offside, realized he was. The play continued, and he just stood there.
2nd time he's been called in this game, if indeed the call is against him. And Edmonton lawyer Bud Steed.
Illegal procedure. Edmonton number 14. 2nd down repeated.
They got McManus and maybe on the Tom Wilkinson Memorial head bomb.
There it is. So Jeff Cummins, even though he was ahead of the snap, was there because little McManus head bomb.
And Edmonton to the hurry-up offense now. 2nd and 10. McManus quickly out there to Blunt, and check that Jerry Collins, and Collins out of bounds at the 33-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down, and almost assuredly Sean Fleming and the field goal unit will come on the field. And they're yelling it's 3rd down. I think they were talking about running one more play, and suddenly the Edmonton Eskimos are yelling it's 3rd down.
Little confusion on the bench of Edmonton. They thought that after that penalty it was 1st down, but the penalty occurred on 2nd down, so they did get the down over. But that was it. Now Fleming has to kick the field goal.
Heads up by Rod Conop in his 15th year to alert the Edmonton bench. And if you were watching the Blue Jays a couple weeks ago on TSN, you can see that those things aren't always automatic. A walk on 3 balls to a Cleveland Indians set up the game-winning home run. Fleming from the 40. perfect thus far, and now 3 for 3. Edmonton welcomes Sean Fleming back, and he gives the Eskimos a 20-1 lead with 5 seconds to go in the first half. Hasn't missed a beat.
Sure hasn't. I talked to him before the game about if there's any differences, and he said the only thing is he's got to get used to kicking off the tee again.
Oh, that's right.
Of course, in the NFL, they kick it right off the grass, and it's a different swing with his foot. It's like a golf swing. You have to adjust it. In the NFL, you have to just touch the grass with your foot, and here it's got to be about 2 inches off the grass. So he's having a little trouble. He said, my first couple of kicks when I got back into camp in Edmonton was sky balls because I was too low with my foot movement.
And a very popular member of this Edmonton Eskimo team, I might add. He brings a lot to the dressing room.
You love a kicker who covers and makes tackles on kickoffs, and Fleming's one of those type of guys.
Draw play on first down. They give it off, and Profile Greer can't find much. He saw Willie Pless coming and hit the deck in a hurry. Singor Mobley got there to finish him off. And now some pushing and shoving breaks out. Richard Sines, number 65, was in the middle of it on the final play of the opening half. So the Edmonton Eskimos, with some fireworks late in the half, lead 20-1. Let's send it back to our CFL Live Control Center. In the first half, our cameras were focused on Edmonton's Benny Goods, the 7th-year man who had a great first half, 2 sacks. Benny Goods, a 2-time CFL All-Star, showing his stuff in the first half. The Edmonton Eskimos with a 20-1 lead over the Ottawa Rough Riders. And David Archer with just 3 completions in that first half, and 3 for 8 passing for 25 yards isn't going to get it done no matter who you're playing. Never mind the #1 defense in the league.
David Archer's got to get in there and show the leadership that he's shown in the CFL in the last 3 years and get some offense going, keep that defense off the field, and generate some points.
Now, I might have been a bit presumptuous there. Does Edmonton have the best defense in the league, or does Calgary?
I don't know. That's a good argument.
Calgary has allowed 107 points. Edmonton has allowed 99. Actually, Toronto has allowed only 96 points going into this week.
Well, you know, statistically, when you look at it, I guess maybe you would say Edmonton, but I think the one statistic that Calgary would say in their argument is the win-loss columns.
And this word just in, bricks have flown through the TV sets of homes in the Matthews and Buono households. Hey, ours is better, they're saying. And we'll see Edmonton and Toronto hook up on Thursday night in what should be a great clash of 2 top defenses at Saito. Sean Fleming to kick it off to open the second half. Profile Greer and Eddie Britton are back deep to receive, and this is Profile Greer sliding and returning the ball in a rather unorthodox manner out to the 37-yard line.
He looked like he was coming from center field to pick up that short fly ball and just barely came up with the catch, let alone the return.
David Archer passed for 6,000 yards back in 1995 with Sacramento. You name the other 2 quarterbacks who have passed for 6,000 yards in a season?
Ooh, let's see. Flutie would be one.
Yep.
I'd have to go with Gunnigan.
Nope. Austin.
Oh, yeah.
David Archer completes to Robert Gordon. Of course, he was only your teammate for a bazillion years.
I was going to say.
You were only there when it happened. How would you know?
I was going to say, and don't think that Ken Austin won't make mention of it next time I see him.
Were you at the water cooler while the offense was on the field, or what?
You know, I was getting the oxygen, trying to catch my breath.
Leo Groenwagen returns to the Edmonton sidelines and apparently will go in the second half. The gain by Gordon was 4 yards. It's 2nd and 6. From the shotgun, here comes the rush, and Archer delivers a one-hopper. And Willie Pless might have won the high jump here because he just vaulted over the Ottawa line.
He's either watching the high jump or the 100-meter hurdles. I mean, this isn't the 100 meters, but watch the hurdle. Whoa!
Is that any good? Oh, and then a little, kind of took him out with the leg tap there.
And James Monroe is 6'2", and he just hurdled him. That's a little higher than any hurdle.
That was high jump, hurdles, and a little Greco-Roman wrestling at the end.
Gets the gold medal in my books.
Wayne Lamley to punt. And 1 man back for Edmonton. It's Shalon Baker. Shalon Baker from the 30, trying to find the edge, cannot do it, as he is hunted down by Ray Bernard, a defensive standout who stars on special teams for Ottawa. A 40-yard punt, an 8-yard return. Well, here are the numbers offensively. You know, Edmonton, 48% completion percentage, under 50% is unusual. And interesting to note the rushing yards. Both teams under 100 yards rushing per game, and quarterback sacks. Ottawa is the worst. Edmonton is the best. On first down, there's that Statue of Liberty play again. They try it around the right side to block, waiting for a block. It does not come. And a great stop is made on the play. Looked like Dwayne Knight got up there with DJ Djokovic making the stop.
Well, Dave Harper has a shot. Dwayne Knight makes the final tackle, but Harper takes a gamble and comes inside the block. You see him right there, and he just flashes in your screen. Blunt gets outside of that and picks up a few yards.
Just a couple, though. Now on 2nd and 8. McManus with time with a receiver over the middle, but it's low and behind Darren Flutie, was double covered to the play, and it falls incomplete. 2 and out for the Edmonton offense, so the Ottawa defense does its job early in the second half, forcing Edmonton to punt.
Talking about different matchups, and that time Darren Flutie was running on Dwayne Knight, but Dwayne Knight had safety help there, so that ball had to be perfect.
Only Glenn Harper's second punt of the game. The first was a good one, a 44-yard effort that went out of bounds inside the 1. And this one is not very deep. Off the side of Harper's foot, as they like to say. And it goes out of bounds at the Ottawa 53-yard line. And a punt of just 17 yards for Glenn Harper.
Well, I'm not going to say that, you know, this is going to be a for sure thing, but when Fleming came into camp.
Offside. Ottawa number 5 will repeat 3rd down.
What a break for Edmonton. The 17-yard punt will not stand. Now Edmonton is 3rd and 3 from its own 45-yard line. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Edmonton. Glenn Harper punts it again, and it's returned 21 yards by Eddie Britt. So a big break for the Edmonton Eskimos, as Harper's 17-yard punt doesn't stand, but the 45-yard one does. And Edmonton with a 20-1 lead sees Ottawa penalized again. Illegal block on the punt return, and now Ottawa is moved back inside its own 20-yard line, all the way down to the 11. Wow, bad to worse for Ottawa. Instead of having the ball at their own 53-yard line, they start at their own 11. Yeah, I can do that's 42 yards.
Well, I'm doing the quick math here. I was counting it up. I was counting the stripes, but your math obviously a little quicker. 42, did you say?
Yeah.
It's quite a swing in field position.
My thanks to Mr. Brightcrates at Strathcona Composite High School here in Edmonton.
Well, I ran out of fingers.
Yeah, he ran out of hair. All his fell out having me as a student. Well, the Edmonton Eskimos have a chance in the Western Division to take a major leap up. They enter this game at 3-2, and of course the Calgary Stampeders proved to be human last week, suffering their first loss of the year. So Edmonton with 6 points can move into a tie with Calgary. Of course, Edmonton will have played one more game. Calgary's in action against Saskatchewan on Monday afternoon at McMahon Stadium. And in the East, well, the Hamilton Ticats are now 4-2. Ottawa at 1-4, battling Montreal for 3rd place in the Eastern Division.
Remember, in the playoff format change this year, you can get 4 teams out of one division making it and only 2 out of the other. So,
for example, if the record of the 4th place team in the West is better than the 3rd place team, it's the Western team that gets in. August 26, 1983, Warren Moon's MVP season was the last time the Ottawa Rough Riders won here. That was about 12 coaches ago for Ottawa.
At least.
And off to Profale Greer, and Greer picks up 3 yards on the play. Jumping up quickly to make the stop is Mike Sellers, number 94.
I know that the Ottawa's had some problems. I mean, Dieter Brock was fired earlier. John Payne comes in and takes over the offense. Saw David Archer has a little bit of influence in that offense, but they have to come up with a little more imagination. I mean, right now you got to run that basic counter or dive play on first down and then try and throw on second and long. They need to mix it up a little bit more and generate some offense.
Second and long. Archer has time, throws, and it is complete there to Joseph Rogers. Now, Edmonton is arguing that Archer was across the line of scrimmage. He might have been close, but Rogers has the pickup and a first down. Pickup of 14 yards.
Sorry, Gordon, you watch where the ball snapped right there. Looks like a couple of yards in front of that stripe. Now Archer's going to step up into the pocket. He steps one, step two. Whoa.
Well, the 13-yard line was the line of scrimmage, so he was very close.
He was very close. I think if he would have put that other foot down before he released the ball, he might have got him.
Back to the ground on first down. Profale Greer finds some room to run. Sigmore Mobley ties him up, but not before he gets to the 39-yard line. And a pickup of 8 yards. Profale Greer just 22 yards rushing coming into the game. Doubled that and then some in the first half.
He's been in Ottawa since July, and boy, he's one of those slashers. John Payne's just been dying to get him in the lineup.
And as I mentioned, John Payne was a coach for the London Monarchs, and Profale Greer, one of the 3 London Monarchs that Payne brought in. Short yardage lead first carry. Knight dives across the 40 to the 42. Good for a first down. Lee Knight had a great game against the BC Lions. 2 receiving touchdowns for the former Hamilton Ticat, who had spent 9 years with the Tabbies. And I know his Hamilton teammates were delighted with his performance against the BC Lions. One of the best liked players in the Canadian Football League, Lee Knight. And he might be... No, he got the first down. Just by the point of the football. Lee Knight had 484 receiving yards last year, his best catching year in this Canadian Football League career.
He's surprised you. He has deceptive speed. Doesn't look like he can run, but when he came in the league, he was a slot back.
A defensive back once told me he runs like Barney Rubble.
Well, Barney must be pretty quick in the open field.
Archer over the middle, has his man again. He completes it up there to Billy Hess. And Hess, Archer's former teammate in San Antonio, with his first catch of the game, has another first down for the Ottawa Rough Riders, a pickup of 21 yards.
Now here's what I'm talking about. I mean, little play action on first down. Mix it up. That sucked up the Edmonton linebackers, gave Bill Hess a little room to operate. Got a nice play on first down.
Billy Hess last year, 763 yards. Now the give goes to Profale Greer. Look at the room for him to run. Lost the football at the 30-yard line, but I believe they'll call him down. Edmonton is claiming it got the football back, but it's a pickup of 18 yards and 3 consecutive first downs for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
I'm going to see, take another look at it and see if he does fumble the ball, but David Archer starts out, you know, now he's mixed it up. He's gone on a pass on first down, and this time he goes on run on first down, catches the linebackers out of their pass rush lanes, and oh, that looked like it could have been close to a fumble we saw right at the end of that play.
The fake to Profale Greer. Now Archer with time to the end zone. Nobody there. Hard to tell who he was looking for. The closest man to the football was Joseph Rogers, number 83, but...
Yeah, you know, David Archer had a thought. You get as a quarterback, I think you get sort of a stopwatch in your head. As the game progresses, you start to realize how much time you have. Now, David Archer on that play had plenty of time, but I think that stopwatch ran out on him in his head, and he just threw that one away because Rogers did open up late.
Pretty good throw to throw it away. He threw it about 70 yards. Now Archer has time again, wants the end zone again for Gordon, and that too is in behind him. Malcolm Frank in there on the coverage on Robert Gordon. First time they've tried Malcolm Frank's side of the field. And the Ottawa drive is snuffed out as Lamley will come on to try a field goal. Wayne Lamley is 5 for 8 on the season. This will be a try from 38 yards. So Ottawa shows flashes once again, but can't finish the drive. This team has scored the fewest points in the Canadian Football League this year. Lamley misses it to the right. through the back of the end zone, and now some pushing and shoving as Benny Goods gets involved with Mike Jovanovich, and there are flags down on the play. We'll sort them out when we come back to Commonwealth Stadium on the CFL Live. Well, if it wasn't his last name, they'd probably call him the Goods. And what was Benny Goods doing there? Let's show you.
Well, Benny Goods is on the pass rush first. You see right there, Mike Jovanovic goes down on his back. Now, Benny Goods, I don't think has really committed a foul yet because he has to block Jovanovic if there's a return. But there's a foul, I think, right there. A little bit of taunting after a pretty devastating block.
So the Eskimos will start from their 25 instead of the 35. McManus with time, but his receiver slipped on the play. He was looking there for Shalon Baker, and the Rookie of the Year from last year in the Canadian Football League came into this game with just 15 catches. Does not have a catch yet in this football game.
Big play guy. He's not a big guy, but boy, is he a big play guy.
1,156 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns for Shalon Baker last season. And the Edmonton Eskimos are pretty close to their season average for points already. Draw play, and not much doing there for Eric Blunt as he is stopped short of the 30-yard line, and it'll be a punting situation for Edmonton. The Ottawa defense has done the job. Now down 20-2, it's up to the offense to get something going, and not out of the question if the Riders could do so. They showed some flashes on the last drive.
Jeff Cummins and Lubo Zizakovic, two of the main reasons that the Ottawa defense has been playing well tonight.
Lubo Zizakovic, second from last in the alphabetical listing of CFL players. His brother Sreko brings up the rear.
You are the stats guy.
Hey, you know what? Those two guys had to wait longer for their report cards than any guys in school. Glenn Harper to punt it. This is Britton, and loses the football. Eddie Britton loses the football, and no question about it this time. It's recovered by Rob Weir, number 81, first-year man out of Queens. And John Payne's seen this all happen before, and what a huge mistake by Ottawa, and a big turnover for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Boy, when you're struggling, it just seems that you cannot buy a break. I mean, Eddie Britton starts to make a move right there to his right. Before he had secured the football, it pops out, and Weir picks it up.
So now, 1st and 10 for the Eskimos from the Ottawa 45-yard line. There's that Statue of Liberty play. Eddie Brown, is he going to throw it? No, he's going to run. And Brown gets brought down hard to the 45-yard line. J.D. Jakovich, the safety, comes up to make the stop. And no gain on the play. I thought Eddie Brown was going to throw that time. Maybe that's just the way he carries the ball.
That's just a different variation of the statue. It goes to slot back Eddie Brown. He comes around, but Jason Jakovich does a great job from his safety position. I mean, that was a heck of a hit. He had a long way to travel to get there.
Boy, with Zizakovic and Jakovich out there, you got 4 letter Zs out there.
And then, yeah.
Now on 2nd down, they swing it out quickly to Blunt. Long way to go for the 1st down, and Ray Bernard will not let him get there. What a night for Ray Bernard, playing in the middle. The Bishops graduate who played for one of the top college defenses in the nation is having an outstanding night for Ottawa.
6'1", 225, and what I'm most impressed about tonight on the natural grass is his quickness from sideline to sideline. You see him in the middle of your screen. He's on the hash mark. Now, Eric Blunt catches it, works his way to the sideline, and here comes Ray Bernard all the way to about 5 yards from that sideline. That's a lot of ground to cover.
If you've ever seen the field they play on at Bishops, this is a piece of cake. Harper will have to punt it once again. Low kick, and Eddie Britton will try it again. From the 5, he picks it up gingerly and gets out to the 7-yard line. Bruce Dixon got down to make the stop, but he might have been a little too close. Flags are down on the play. Edmonton leads Ottawa 20-2 on the CFL Live. Well, when they give the coach a parking spot in Ottawa, I think they write his name in pencil. 8 coaches in 10 years in the nation's capital. Talk about turnover. Steve Goldman with the continuity record of 2 seasons and a bit.
It's tough to get anything going. I mean, sooner or later in Ottawa, they got to just say, listen, we're going to go through a couple losing. Well, they've been through a bunch. But, I mean, you got to be patient with one head coach. Hang in there. Sooner or later, he'll turn it around.
Profile Greer gets forced outside by Melvin Hunter. Singor Mobley comes in to finish him off along with Willie Pless. Flags are down to the play. This may be a face masking call against Edmonton.
It looks like the vicinity of where they threw the flag.
Rongo holding against Ottawa. And that snowball, which is rolling downhill on Ottawa, is getting bigger and bigger.
Holding Ottawa number 15. That penalty's declined. It's second down.
Well, that's interesting.
I'm searching.
I don't have a number 15 for Ottawa.
I'm looking. I don't see one.
He didn't say 50. They don't have one of those either.
One over.
Ah, well. No idea. Was Martin Cox number 15? I don't remember. Now Archer up over the middle, has his man Joseph Rogers, and Rogers room to run. Across the 50 and out to midfield before he's finally tracked down by Kavis Reed. The gain is 39 yards, the biggest offensive play of the game for Ottawa.
Well, I tell you what, if momentum is anything, this is a great momentum switcher for the Ottawa Roughriders. I mean, watch the rope that David Archer throws right here. Right over the middle, perfect spiral, over the outstretched hands of the linebacker, Larry Ruck, and then Rogers does the rest. I mean, I've been so impressed with this rookie, Joseph Rogers. First catch he made in the game against Hamilton, took it over 90 yards for a touchdown.
Came into the game leading his team in receiving. Now from Edmonton's side of midfield, they set it up for Robert Gordon, and Gordon dives ahead to about the 52-yard line. Bruce Dixon is out there to make the stop with Malcolm Frank.
Gordon a little shaken up there. Of course, he's in Ottawa because of the trade to Ray Alexander, and it turned out to be a good trade with BC because Alexander was a no-show at camp and still isn't there. Ottawa gets Robert Gordon, who's been a pretty good receiver for him.
Bruce Dixon out of Simon Fraser. And Edmonton Eskimos have done very well from Simon Fraser over the years. Oh, man! Benny Goods just put the stick on David Archer. That is Benny Goods' third sack of the game, his fifth of the year. And David Archer says, what are you going to do?
A little bit of frustration there. I mean, David Archer was getting ready to throw. It wasn't like there was any slipping there. But here's Benny Goods working right here on a little bit of a stunt. And Chris Burns did the old lookout block. When I say lookout block, that means he turned around to David Archer and said, look out. Here he comes.
The turnstile block.
Yeah, Chris Burns has been having a good year, too. He's been graded out as the best lineman. But, boy, he didn't show it on that play.
And you see the frustration of David Archer as Wayne Lamley comes on to punt again. Shalon Baker is back deep to receive. High kick. Baker from the 20. And Baker gets out to about the 25-yard line before the stop is made by Richard Sines. A 39-yard punt, a return of 6.
Closed captioning of this CFL telecast is brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting classic Italian BMT.
Edmonton number 94. First down, Edmonton.
Mike Sellers called for holding on that return. That'll hem the Edmonton Eskimos way back in their own territory. Welcome back to Commonwealth Stadium on the CFL Live. I'm Gord Miller with Glenn Suter. Darren Detition back in our CFL Live Control Center with Bob Obelovich, Marty York, and Les Brown. And the Eskimos, with a 20-2 lead, are hemmed inside their own 10. And the Edmonton Eskimos 8-2 in their last 10 meetings with Ottawa. We mentioned the Riders have not won here since 1983. McManus gives the ball off to Blunt. Eric Blunt tries to get outside, tripped up at about the 15-yard line. Dwayne Knight got up to make the stop.
Dwayne Knight's having a real good football game. He's got some pass rush on Danny McManus off some stunts from his linebacker position. Comes into the game tied for second on the team in special teams tackles. He contributes there and made a couple of real nice stops on Eric Blunt on the running game.
Pick up a 5 that time for Blunt. Early movement again. Flags are down. McManus guns it. And it is to Shalon Baker, but out of bounds. What a throw by McManus. A rocket that might have carried Shalon Baker out of bounds.
An equally great catch by Shalon Baker. I mean, you're right, Gord. That was a bullet by McManus. Shalon Baker had to sort of turn backwards to try and catch it. Just happened to be out of bounds.
Offside. Ottawa, number 96. First down, Edmonton.
Obi Spanik is called for offside. Played 5 games for Ottawa last year.
Well, it doesn't seem like much right now, but that's the type of penalty that becomes huge as this drive develops. I mean, Edmonton was looking at a punting situation.
And that is Edmonton's first down of the second half. And on first down, they give it to Blunt. And he saw that defensive back, Joe Miro, standing there, ran right towards him. Melvin Aldridge came over to help make the stop. And the pickup is 5.
Joe Miro's having a pretty good season. Comes into the game with a couple of interceptions. That time, he read it, came off his man because his man was just blocking, and comes up and helps out on the run. But you're right, those running backs, as soon as they see a DB, they'd rather take them on than a guy like Ray Bernard.
Well, I remember they used to see a guy from Saskatchewan, number 27, and they used to tell jokes about, oh, never mind, sorry. Highway 27, they call it. That pass is knocked down, and Jeff Cummins almost picked it up, and that was almost 97, taking it to the end zone.
And that would have been his 4th fumble recovery of the season. Right now he's got 3, and he's tied for the league lead, but boy, this one would have been a huge one there. The big bat down, and he could almost come up with an interception.
He didn't have 18 miles of tape on. Big Jeff Cummins, he squeezed that ball so hard afterwards, I think it might be flat.
And he is used to handling the ball a little bit. He's the backup long snapper. He handles the ball a little in practice.
So now Glenn Harper will punt. Minute 30 to go in the third quarter. Ottawa kind of hanging in there, down by 18. Whoa, good kick by Harper. Sends Gordon off back to the 35, drops the football, and Edmonton has it back. A 50-yard punt by Harper, and Rob Weir has his second fumble recovery of the game. And just when Ottawa shows signs of life, a crucial mistake cost the Riders dearly.
Hey, you use a kicker and a quarterback at Queens, and Rob Weir knows when he gets to the Canadian Football League, he has to contribute in some other ways, and that is on special teams. And this is the second time he's the first guy down. Does a nice job of coming up with that fumble recovery.
And Glenn Harper was loving that. It's the second time his punts has been recovered. Now McManus has time and had Nick Mazzoli, but threw the ball well behind him. And the crowd getting on Danny McManus a bit here.
I'm not sure what Danny McManus was doing on that play, to be quite honest, because, you know, when it's a timing pattern and you release the football before the receiver's made his break, that's one thing. But that time, I mean, Mazzoli had made his break by 6 yards, and McManus just threw it to the open area.
Draw play to Eric Blunt. Breaks the first wave, loses the football, and falling on it is Ed Cousy. And you know what? The fumble might have given Edmonton the first down because Blunt wouldn't have got there if he hadn't dropped the ball. How about that?
Boy, when things go great, they go really great. I mean, Ottawa's fumbled a couple of punts. They could have had the ball back, and we've seen Eric Blunt now put the ball on the turf 3 times, and Edmonton recovered all 3.
This should be the final play of the third quarter, and it was indeed a first down for Edmonton. Now McManus with time and with Mazzoli wide open. Mazzoli inside the 5, up and over, touchdown. Nick Mazzoli with the 22-yard pass and run touchdown. It's his first touchdown catch of the year.
matches last year, and 3 of them came against Ottawa, so you know he loves to play against them. But one word describes what Nick Mazzoli did on this play, and that is courage. He catches his ball in the curl, but he heads into some traffic to come up with this touchdown. There's white jerseys all over the place, and then when you're a receiver running in there, that's like tiptoeing through a minefield, and Nick Mazzoli does it. Comes up with a touchdown.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you soon.
Gave us Rangers come up and said, you owe me dinner for telling you what to do.
Ange, Tammy, everybody back home. Mary Ann, Sam, my brother in Jersey.
Anybody else, Nick?
Feels good.
Well, you just saved about $100 in long-distance phone bills.
No kidding. Home for him is Toronto, by the way. Another Simon Fraser graduate. Edmonton has done very well from that school, as I mentioned. Dave Cutler was a Simon Fraser graduate. Now they've got Mazzoli, Dixon.
And now you're talking about a 27 back there. I mean,
yeah, Glenn Suter went to Simon Fraser, and injured in the end zone is Dwayne Knight. You see, he just blew a tire on the goal line.
Right there to the left is left of the screen there. He lost his footing, and then his knee kind of buckled underneath on him.
So Nick Mazzoli with the catch and run, and what a score it was.
It really was. I mean, Mazzoli, it's a real simple curl pattern, but most receivers, when they catch that curl, head to the outside where there's only 1 or 2 little defensive backs. Not Mazzoli. I mean, he's going in there where he can get linebacker trouble. I mean, Dwayne Knight was the one who finally hit him. And
everybody back home. Yeah, all the boys are in Randy's place. Oh, man. Oh,
look at his right arm.
Feeling better.
Well, he paid the price for that, didn't he? So now Sean Fleming will try the point after to give Edmonton a 25-point lead heading into the 4th quarter. Fleming puts it up and through, and the Edmonton Eskimos enjoy a 27-2 lead as the gun goes to end the 3rd quarter in Edmonton.
CFL live at the quarter. Brought to you by Bank of Montreal. It is possible.
All the Edmonton Eskimos have taken complete control of this football game. Great touchdown run by Nick Mazzoli.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that Ottawa's just inept on offense, and they're not doing their thing, so the defense is less mentioned than our last break, is having to stay on the field a lot longer.
You know, as a reporter, you always hate to hear the cliche about turnovers will kill you. I mean, coaches always say that, but it's true, turnovers will kill you. The Rough Riders have fumbled 4 times. As a coach, how do you prevent that from recurring?
Well, first of all, he should concentrate on not making turnovers as far as just catching the ball, but if a guy can't do that on a regular basis, that's his job, and if he drops too many of them, you just don't get rid of the player because he's not doing the job the way you expect.
Yeah, well, that's part of the CFL's problem, too, though, getting rid of players too quickly, I think.
Well, there's a problem with Ottawa right now is it looks like they're giving up. You've seen they gave up 2 punt return fumbles, and now the defense is giving up. They just seem like they've given up. There's a fumble on the ground, and nobody's going after it. There's no hustle involved in this at all. Looks like they've already just totally...
But how many times have you seen that, though, Les, when the defense plays really well in the first half, and they were playing well in the first part of that 3rd quarter, and their offense isn't doing anything, and their special teams is letting them down? That's a tough situation.
But in the Canadian Football League, anything can happen, and you can always come back. You know, just don't give up.
You're right. Anything can happen. Maybe we'll see Cody Ledbetter. Will he toss his first pass in the Canadian Football League? Will we actually see him?
You know, one of the problems with that, too, though, Les, is that Ottawa's a brand-new team, and they don't have that experience yet, the cohesion to come over those kind of things.
Well, guys, they're ready for the kickoff. Let's return to Commonwealth.
Thanks very much, Jared. Opening the 4th quarter. This is Kenny Wilhite from his 15-yard line, trying to provide some spark for Ottawa. He slides down to the 35-yard line, and you know who almost nailed him? The kicker, Sean Fleming, came flying in there, but Wilhite jumped underneath him. A 21-yard return by Wilhite. Well, the numbers show this story. 151 net yards for the Ottawa Rough Riders and 379 for Edmonton, despite Edmonton's 4 turnovers.
Yeah, turnover's a big story. You heard the panel talking about turnovers. Sometimes, you know, when you're the team that's trying to make something happen, you try and do too much. Like Robert Gordon on a punt return, he thinks he has to break it for this team to have a big play. Doesn't concentrate on catching the ball. You try to force it a little too much.
And nothing doing there. That was a team meeting. Mike Sellers led it.
One of the youngest guys in the Canadian Football League. He's 21 years old. He just turned 21, as a matter of fact. You know he's going to be pumped up when he gets in there. Coming in on the stunt right from the right of your screen right there, and just keeps on working on Chris Burns until he makes his way to the pocket.
Ottawa has lost 54 yards in the quarterback sack tonight. Mike Sellers broke his leg on the opening kickoff of the first preseason game last year and missed the whole year. Archer. Oh, man. It is just a David Archer sandwich down there. Now Glenn Rogers gets in it with Joseph Rogers, and flags are down. But, I mean, David Archer got whacked. Mike Sellers is in there with Benny Goods.
You're going to see that. Look at, here comes the rush. You see, right up in there, Larry Ruck takes on the first block from the running back, Profel Greer. And, boy, I mean, they're buzzing all over David Archer.
And the penalty is against Edmonton. Rough play is charged, I believe, against Glenn Rogers, so that'll send Ottawa out to the 46-yard line.
Yeah, Glenn Rogers was gotten a little bit of a pushing match with Joseph Rogers, and look at Archer just getting hammered in there. Benny Goods and Mike Sellers hitting him at the same time, and he's getting a little roughed up. Steve Taylor might get a little shot to play here.
Former Eskimo Steve Taylor, who began his career here in Edmonton, is warming up. Now Archer. No time for David Archer. I mean, he did not have a chance. Melvin Hunter gets in there. His 4th sack of the year for the man they call the big game hunter, because he seems to save his best plays for the biggest game.
Well, I mean, it should be obvious to Ottawa right now that they just cannot stop this defensive front four. I mean, Edmonton right now is not doing anything special. They're rushing 4, maybe 5 at the most. John Payne has to start trying to alleviate some of the pressure with scheme, draw plays, screen plays. Try and get that defensive line in Edmonton thinking about run, thinking about draw, so they don't pin their ears back.
2nd and 15, and here they come again. And Archer just lost the handle. David Archer cocked, and when he went to fire, it just misfired.
Well, I think he was looking at Robert Gordon on the play, and I'm not sure that maybe Gordon made the wrong break, because Archer thought he was going one place, saw that he broke the wrong way, and then you see him getting mad, looking down at his receiver because he had to sort of hang on and throw that one into the turf.
You won't meet many classier people in sports than David Archer, but you also won't meet many more frustrated people in sports right now than David Archer. And Wayne Lamley once again to punt. Shalon Baker. Low driving kick. Baker sees it bounce at the 27-yard line. He'll pick it up at the 25. And Baker gets nowhere as he was collared high by Ray Bernard. And it is no return after a 43-yard punt.
For Edmonton, Garrison Dale.
It's a 4-game sweep on TSN this week. It starts with Earl Winfield and the Hamilton Ticats in Montreal to face the Owls. That's followed by Edmonton at Toronto from Skydome on Thursday. Ottawa plays in Winnipeg on Friday. We'll have that game for you from Winnipeg Stadium, and Calgary and BC under the big top on Saturday. You and I will be there for that. I'll tell you what, Glenn, you go to one end of the country, I'll go to the other end, and I'll meet you in BC on Saturday. How's that?
Works for me.
On first down, Danny McManus, quick drop, and a quick throw complete to Darren Flutie. And Flutie fights his way out across the 45 to the 47-yard line. And the pickup is 22 yards for Darren Flutie.
That was a case of Jason Jakovic from his safety position was supposed to line up and take away the hot to Flutie. He disguised it too long. Both Flutie and Danny McManus noticed it and just hit him hot.
What's the hot?
Hot means if you see an opening, like if the guy is uncovered, meaning there's no defensive back lined up on him, just get him the ball. Forget whatever play was called.
from the 46-yard line. It's the reverse to Eddie Brown, and this time he will throw. Underneath the coverage, he was looking for Eddie Brown. I think he wanted Shalon Baker deep, but he was covered. And Eddie Brown's passing statistics will take a severe nosedive. Remember, I told you he threw a touchdown pass last year, but he's 0 for 1 this year.
Well, what surprises me about it is that, first of all, in a type of play like this where a guy doesn't throw the ball much, you give him a receiver so he can just kind of throw it up. This is one of those pinpoint out patterns to Darren Flutie, and he had to try and throw it on a rope while he's on the run.
We should have known, too, though. He took the glove off there. We should have known he was going to throw it. Eddie Brown is now 1 for 2 in his career passing for 1 touchdown at 78 yards.
Dropped to 50% in 1 throw.
Whoa, look out. Malfunction at the junction, and Ray Bernard gets there very quickly as Eric Blunt got hit as he got the football.
Ray Bernard timed his stunt perfectly. Coming on the blitz, you're going to get a great shot of it because Bernard is going to come in there untouched, and there he is. I mean, he almost took the handoff from Danny McManus.
Well, Edmonton has done very little offensively in the second half, but Ottawa has been unable to answer. 27-2 is the score with 10:46 to play here in the fourth quarter. Low snap to Glenn Harper, who gets a low kick away that bounces down to the 25-yard line. And Eddie Britton takes a couple of steps forward and gets buried by Maurice Miller. We'll return to Commonwealth Stadium right after this. Frustrating night for David Archer. For more on that, let's go to Ken Chillibeck on the Ottawa sideline.
Thank you very much, Gordon. A frustrated David Archer right now. I'm just standing beside him at the sidelines here, and they're throwing things on the ground. He's very frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. Coach Sean Payne sitting there. They don't know what to do. The defense is giving that offensive line. There's a lot of problem. They can't give him enough time to find a receiver, find any of his plays. They're having a tough time, as you can tell by the score. Guys, back to you.
And by that play, Profale Greer is stopped in the backfield. David Archer is 8 for 17 passing for 111 yards. Very un-David Archer-like numbers.
Well, there's a couple of ways to avoid pass rush. I mean, first of all, offensive line, right? But obviously, the Ottawa offensive line is struggling. So the next way is scheme. Just dump that ball off, and they're just not doing either right now.
And the real good news for Ottawa is it's starting to really rain here in Edmonton.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's just what they needed. Archer on play action has his man over the middle, Robert Gordon, and Gordon is up and running across the 50 and up to the 53-yard line. But there's a flag at the 12-yard line. David Archer looks back and cannot believe it. It's coming back.
Holding, Ottawa 65, second down repeated.
Wipes out a 26-yard gain. Richard Sines, first-year man out of Vanderbilt, another former London Monarch, is called.
He's right at the center. He sees you got to keep your hands inside. And listen, if you can't block them legally, I guess the only other alternative is to cheat.
Well, the difference on the play is substantial. It's 35 yards, and warming up on the Edmonton bench is Cody Ledbetter. You heard Darren Atishin talk about him before. He has yet to throw a pass in the Canadian Football League, but we may get a chance to see him soon. Second down for Archer. Long way to go. He throws it over the middle. Lee Knight can't make the catch. Singar Mobley there on the coverage, and Singar Mobley was right over the top on Lee Knight. And that time it was Larry Ruck who got in on David Archer.
Well, when things are successful, why not just throw the house? I mean, Larry Ruck's up in there. Saw Errol Martin coming on the stunt. Willie Pless was also blitzing. I mean, they just sent the whole house there, and it's working. Stick with it.
And the rain is the least of David Archer's concerns right now as Lee Knight is down for the Ottawa Rough Riders. And Knight, the ex-Hamilton Ticat, appears to be having a left ankle problem.
You talked about that the offensive schemes troubles that Ottawa is having with the coaching change. They obviously are very vanilla in their offense right now. You can tell. I mean, you haven't seen any rollouts by David Archer. I mean, he's not mobile, but he can roll out. He can semi-roll one way or the other. They call it dash, where you drop back straight and then take off to one side or the other. Move the pocket around. It helps the offensive line. You throw in a couple of screens. And that helps you offensive line blocking in that front four.
Well, that is Stephon Jones, who played for the Edmonton Eskimos and the Ottawa Rough Riders. Jones played for Edmonton from 1986 to 1989. Now a receivers coach. Actually began the year in Ottawa's marketing department, but was elevated to assistant coach. What a great couple with the Edmonton Eskimos.
Another one of those great, real true nice guys. Teammate of mine in Saskatchewan.
And an NCAA champion 100-meter sprinter. Wayne Lamley will punt again. Right up the elevator shaft. It's a short kick. Darian Hagan got hit as he went to pick up the football. So it is scooped up by Eddie Brown, and there are flags everywhere. Darian Hagan went to pick up the ball, and an Ottawa Rough Rider got right in his way. A 27-yard punt by Ottawa, and there is no return.
Well, when you're on special teams, it can often be a dogfight or just a straight-out barroom brawl. Here's Ray Bernard working on Maurice Miller.
Let's worked on.
Let's see who wins this one. It looks like a little bit of a rope-a-dope there by Ray Bernard.
They were going to go. if that was hockey, he would have taken off his gloves and gone with them. And look who's into the game for Edmonton, Cody Ledbetter. First-year man out of New Mexico State. He is his school's all-time leading passer and was the second leading passer in the NCAA last year. They start at the 31-yard line after the penalty. Fake to Blunt, and his first play in the Canadian Football League, he fumbles, and Ottawa has it. Cody Ledbetter is in the Canadian Football League. He has fumbled, and Ray Bernard has recovered it.
Well, I'm definitely not laughing at him because...
Yes, you are.
Well, no, I'm not. I mean, he comes in there, and how about the initiation? Like, welcome to the Canadian Football League. Jeff Cummins comes in there. Big veteran Lloyd Lewis puts the wrap on him, and oh, man.
If it's any consolation, in 1983, a young quarterback came to Edmonton, and his very first pass in the preseason was intercepted for a touchdown. That quarterback, Matt Dunnigan, is about to become the CFL's all-time leading passer. And Steve Taylor is in to spell off David Archer for the Ottawa Rough Riders. We'll see what he can do on his first play. Taylor has seen some action this year and fires it up in front of the Edmonton bench to Robert Gordon, and they'll say he did make the catch at the 48-yard line. Ron Lancaster doesn't much like that call. Steve Taylor was an outstanding college quarterback at the University of Nebraska and was brought into the Canadian Football League by the Edmonton Eskimos. He spent 2 years in Edmonton in 89 and 90, backing up Damon Allen and Tracy Ham. Then went to Calgary just in time for Doug Flutie to get there, and was in Hamilton last season.
I don't know if he's in the game because they want to change it up or because Archer's bruises have outnumbered his completions.
They might want to save his life. Profale Greer, one of the few bright lights in this game for Ottawa, out to the 55-yard line. A pickup of 7 yards with 7:24 to play in the fourth quarter.
Uh-oh. Looks like he's hurt.
No, he is. Frustrated and hurt. Steve Taylor last year, 2,469 yards passing, a career high for him, 13 touchdown passes. In his career, he's rushed for 7.4 yards a carry, the great tradition of running quarterbacks like Tracy Ham and Damon Allen.
Second and 3 for the Riders, ball at midfield.
Just across midfield. Oof. Nothing doing on that one. The give goes to Andre Bolduc, number 87. And that's the first time he's touched the ball in his CFL career. A former All-Canadian out of Concordia University. And he gets nothing, actually lost a couple of yards.
Well, that's the same sort of initiation that Cody Ledbetter got. A hit. Welcome to the CFL. Another young guy is the one that hit him, Mike Sellers.
Third down, and a long way to go for Ottawa. They're gambling on 3rd and 5. Quarterback draw for Steve Taylor. He dives down to the 50 and should have the first down for the Ottawa Rough Riders as Steve Taylor scrambles for the first down.
Well, Dave Archer's by no means the reason that this Ottawa offense is struggling. I mean, he is a proven great quarterback. But I tell you what, Steve Taylor gives you a different dimension. And when your offensive line is struggling and he can do the odd quarterback draw and move that pocket around, it takes a little bit of the heat off that front five.
First down Ottawa from the 51-yard line. And Taylor from the shotgun has time. In double coverage is intercepted by Glenn Rogers Jr. And now Jr. wants to take it back a long way. Still going. He's finally dropped at the 37-yard line. The tackle is made by Billy Hess, but the damage is done. Rogers with the interception, and Edmonton with the big lead. The game story is brought to you by Men and Speed Stick, the 24-hour protection that just won't quit. Edmonton has sacked Ottawa quarterback 7 times. Danny McManus has thrown for 3 touchdowns, but picked off 3 times. David Archer having a miserable night. Edmonton with 5 turnovers, but Ottawa has not scored a point off them. Ottawa with 3 turnovers, and Edmonton has 1 touchdown to show for it. So Danny McManus will have himself a good laugh on the sidelines, and David Archer is not grinning. Ledbetter gives it off to Blunt, and Blunt across the 45 to the 46-yard line. So Cody Ledbetter hands off gingerly, and his CFL career is off and rolling.
He maybe went over to Ron Lancaster and said, hey, listen, this is my first time out here. Maybe I should just hand a couple off just to see, you know, what's happening. That first play was quite the initiation.
Out of Stephenville, Texas. He's big and mobile. He ran the ball very well at New Mexico State.
And he loves the rodeo, I understand.
Hey, if you're from Stephenville, Texas, you better love the rodeo. Oh, look out. Here, we'll get a chance to see him run. Ledbetter is off and going. Got a first down and then some. Get down as he crosses the 40 to about the 39-yard line. Obi Spanik ran him down. It's a 25-yard gain. He's averaging 25 yards a carry in the CFL.
Well, you know, we talked about him being a good running quarterback. Ron Lancaster loves his toughness, and he also loves his ability to run, and he has to beat the safety, Jason Jakovic, and he does it there, and I've been in that position before.
So Ledbetter gets the first down to the 38-yard line. And he ran out of time. That's got to be the toughest adjustment for a quarterback coming from U.S. college. To have that short time clock, the 20-second clock. And this is interesting. They're not signaling the plays into Ledbetter. They're yelling them in. He's probably not quite up to date on the signals from the sideline, so they're just yelling the plays into him. First and 15, and Ledbetter gets to play his first CFL game in the driving rain. Gives it off to Eric Blunt on the draw play, and Blunt puts his head down to the 21-yard line. Joe Miro makes the stop, but Blunt has the first down after a gain of 22.
Well, this is just a case of that Ottawa defense being worn down and worn down out there all game, just like the panel back in Toronto was talking about it at halftime. They've been on the field for the majority of this football game, and starts to take its toll.
Now Blunt comes out of the game. Jerry Collins in there with Jay Hamilton, rookie out of the University of Alberta. Ledbetter on the fake, throws it for Eddie Brown, and incomplete. Eddie Brown trying to get Ledbetter a catch in his first CFL throw, and he's saying he made the grab.
Well, Jeff Cummins was on his horse, so to speak, after the calf roper in Ledbetter, and he takes off to the sideline, and here comes Jeff Cummins putting the pressure on him, and he gets the hit after the throw, and you know that Cody Ledbetter got up and said, that's pretty good, that's how I bring down the calves back home.
If you object to Glenn Suter's last statement, please write to the People for the Ethical Treatment of Rodeo Metaphors. Second down from the 20, Ledbetter with time, throws to the end zone, incomplete. He wanted Eddie Brown again. And he was wearing Kenny Wilhite. This time Eddie Brown wants pass interference, and Ledbetter got drilled as he threw the ball. You can see his chin strap is up around his nose. 2:51 to play here in the fourth quarter. And Cody Ledbetter gets a rude introduction to the Canadian Football League. Been a tough night for the Ottawa defense, but the Riders take out their frustrations on the rookie Edmonton quarterback.
So you want to play quarterback in the CFL, do you? Well, this is what Cody Ledbetter wants to do it.
Oh.
That's the price you sometimes have to pay to be able to do it. And you know, a guy like Lubos Zizakovic, who's a veteran of the league, is frustrated, and look at that hit. Jars the hat of Cody Ledbetter right off. And wow, I can't believe he even got up. That's toughness. And he's going, do I still have my chin? Is it still there?
He just didn't throw it far enough. Oh, yeah. Ronnie's been retired too long. Sean Fleming having a great return to the Canadian Football League. Tries it from the 38-yard line, and in the rain, he puts it through. Edmonton with a 30-2 lead on the Ottawa Rough Riders. While we have a moment here, we want to show you something, and we want to show Bob Obilovich this too. This is the 1966 Grey Cup game. Ron Lancaster is the Saskatchewan quarterback. He throws to the end zone, and the young Ottawa defensive back.
Oh, he must have it.
Bob Obilovich, it's an interception in the end zone.
He's got it.
It's an interception. No, it's not. It's a touchdown pass to Al Ford. And the Saskatchewan Rough Riders make the catch. Obi, what happened?
You know what? Most guys couldn't vertical jump, and I didn't have a chance. Didn't even have a chance for the interception. I made Al Ford look good.
Obi, I know you always told your players not to be squirrels, but I got to tell you something, pal. You had a big, long tail on that one.
my only analysis here is, Obi, the ball is your friend.
Holy cow! You had to bring. I knew that Leaf would get back at me.
He couriered that tape out to us. Back here in Edmonton, no amount of defensive heroics can save the Ottawa Rough Riders tonight. Steve Taylor rolling out, and he is dropped by Mike Sellers. I should point out, by the way, that I believe Bob Obilovich got his revenge on Saskatchewan about 9 years later? No, it was 10 years later. In the 1976 Grey Cup game, he was with the Ottawa Rough Riders when they beat Saskatchewan. He was an assistant coach on that team.
You're the stats guy.
Hey, it's military night here in Edmonton. The local garrison is well represented by some 5,000 Canadian Forces soldiers who are here tonight, having a good time. They were shooting off this gigantic cannon at halftime and shook the rafters here.
I'm sure the panel heard it back in Toronto.
No kidding. That shell probably hit my house. Wayne Lamley to punt. Probably his best of the night. This is Eddie Brown from the 40. Brown waiting for a block, and when it came, it was a clip. And as he's turning around the corner, he gets wiped out. And once again, it was the center, Richard Sines, who got down there to help make the stop, along with Obi Spanik. So Eddie Brown's had a good night, but this return will be called back. 1:55 to play in the fourth quarter.
Illegal block on the return Edmonton. It's first down Edmonton.
Well, Edmonton will no doubt talk about the penalties once again. This is a team that had been penalized only 23 times in the first 3 games. But tonight, Edmonton has been flagged 10 times.
When you're in your meeting with Ron Lancaster talking about that, and he brings up penalties, he just starts to grit his teeth. This is one of the things that just bugs him.
Well, you got to remember, when Ron Lancaster took over the Edmonton Eskimos, they were famous for being one of the more undisciplined teams in the Canadian Football League. And the hallmark of this team under Lancaster has been that they are very well disciplined. Jerry Collins, the former Ottawa Rough Rider with the carry, stopped at the 30-yard line.
Jerry Collins, we talked about in the opening of this game, one of the reasons that Edmonton has been struggling offensively on the ground game, and that's not because he can't carry the ball. I mean, Jerry Collins is a great tailback. but he is not a fullback. And Edmonton has always had the big fullbacks, the Blake Marshalls, the Michael Souls, the Tony Burses. Well, Tony Burse is out, and now they got two tailbacks in the backfield.
Ledbetter stays in the game on the bootleg. He fires it deep, and he's got a man open. Oh, incomplete. He was looking there for Rob Weir. What a throw by Cody Ledbetter.
Well, I think this is one of those things where Cody Ledbetter wants to come out here and impress the coaching staff. Little play action pass to Jerry Collins. Boots back to the other side and then just lets her rip. And this ball travels through the air about 65 yards.
On target.
Right on the money, and Rob Weir should have had it.
Rob Weir's recovered 2 fumbles tonight, but he wasn't able to haul in that pass.
Maybe Ledbetter should have thrown the bounce pass to him. Off the turf might have helped.
Glenn Harper will punt now for Edmonton. And one of the Ottawa players who's had an adventure returning kicks tonight, Eddie Britton, is back to receive. This is Britton from the 35-yard line. And stopped over at the 40 after a return of 5. 1:09 to play. The Edmonton Eskimos look to improve their record to 4-2 on the season. And by the way, the Edmonton Eskimos in their last 3 games at home against Ottawa have allowed just 26 points. You see what Ron Lancaster was saying to his receivers there. He was saying to Rob Weir, should have had that one, can't throw it any better. That's a quarterback through and through.
You know, Ron Lancaster just told Cody Ledbetter on the play before he didn't throw it far enough, so at least he's fair.
Firm but fair.
Yeah.
Steve Taylor drops the shotgun snap and now is running for his life. 4 Eskimos bear down on him, and he hits Melvin Hunter with the pass as he gets dropped at the sideline. Well, Steve Taylor was in trouble right from the start.
Doesn't get any easier for Ottawa. They travel to Winnipeg in their next game, and see how Steve Taylor was looking downfield. Part of the problem is running that shotgun. You have to take your eyes off the defensive coverage to see the ball, and that time Taylor kept his eyes on the coverage and dropped the ball.
Edmonton gets Toronto, Saskatchewan, and Hamilton for the rest of this month.
Of course, Winnipeg beat Calgary, so...
Well, the Stamps are human.
Hey.
Now Steve Taylor is hunted once again, gets away from the first man, and now Steve Taylor dives out to midfield. And Mike Sellers gets in there to put the hit on Steve Taylor, who's taking punishment with less than a minute to go in what will be a blowout Edmonton win. In the last 2 games between the Eskimos and Ottawa in this stadium, Edmonton has outscored them 93-5.
Yikes.
Those are spankings, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what's the worst loss you ever played?
Without question, I remember it like it was yesterday in Winnipeg, 1987, and we lost 60-3.
Ouch. How'd you play?
In Winnipeg Stadium.
Were you okay?
I played terribly because we lost 60-3. And if any one of our team said they played good that game, they're lying.
How do you rebound from a game like that?
You know what you do? You take the game film and dump it in the garbage before it even gets to the meeting rooms. There's really nothing you can get out of a blowout. John Payne just has to take this film, throw it away, go back to the drawing board offensively, start to scheme a little bit to help out his quarterbacks, give him some more time, and get back out there next week.
Taylor looking there for Joseph Rogers, but the pass is incomplete. Well, it's funny, though, you know, you look at teams that have won, even teams that are, you know, very good and seem very solid, even once in a while they'll suffer a humiliating loss. You think about the Edmonton Eskimos in their Grey Cup year, the year they won it in 1993. I mean, Edmonton got throttled a couple of times that year. I remember a game against Winnipeg, they lost 52-14 to Winnipeg here in Edmonton, and 53-11 in Winnipeg.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it can happen to anybody. It just, sometimes you talk about that snowball starts rolling against you, you can't stop it.
Long throw by Taylor, and it's complete over there to Billy Hess, and with 3 seconds to go, Hess is wrestled down at the 43-yard line. So we'll get the final play of the football game, and not a moment too soon for the Ottawa Rough Riders. This team has not won a game outside the province of Ontario since late in the year in 1990. 6 years later, the futility continues, and the Ottawa Rough Riders will suffer their 16th consecutive road loss.
And the word for the Ottawa fans? Patience. Maybe a word that's been used for a few years now, but...
Taylor with a quick throw, and not much happens there. So the Edmonton Eskimos, a little taunting there by Willie Hinchcliffe at the end of the game, but the Eskimos get the last laugh. They win it by a final score of 30-2, blowing it open late in the first half in what had been a pretty close game. So John Payne will move to center field and shake hands with his former quarterback, Ron Lancaster. And there's got to be some sympathy there, Glenn.
Well, you know, he feels for him, but Ron Lancaster has his own problems to worry about. He's in a tight race in the West Division, and Lancaster needs the 2 points just as badly as John Payne does. So even though he feels bad for him, he'll take the 2 points.
The Edmonton Eskimos move into a first-place tie with the Calgary Stampeders in the CFL's West Division. Calgary has a game in hand, but Edmonton has a big win over Ottawa.
Stay with us.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you by Corel, world leader in CD-ROM technology.
And here are the final QB1 results for tonight's football game. Make sure you stay tuned to the Sports Network next week. Boy, it's huge when it comes to the Canadian Football League. We'll start things off with the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Montreal Alouettes. That's the first of 4 next week, starting at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. That's 4 o'clock Pacific Time. From all of us here at TSN, we hope you enjoyed tonight's football game. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.